Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to today's card. Today I am using the Best Fishes stamp set by Simon Says Stamp. If you've already used it on another card, you can go to my blog to see that. There's also some matching dies that I'm going to use, and I'm also using this new product that I have not used before called Vertigo. This one is called Pebbles, and it's a translucent cardstock. As you can see, it's very, very thin, but it has kind of an optical illusion to it when you move it. And so to me, it really looked kind of like water. So I'm going to use it as water in the fishbowl. So I'm going to take my Simon Says Stamp fishbowl die, and I'm going to put it on my magnetic platform, run it through the Sizzix, and then I'm going to pull out just the water piece from that die. Now I'm going to ink this up with some StazOn Blue Hawaii ink, and the reason why I chose StazOn is because I tried it with some dye inks and I felt like the dye really didn't absorb into the Vertigo very well, and the StazOn dried quickly and it didn't get on my fingers, and it just seemed to work the best. So you can see I'm holding it up here, how it's thin. It's got this really cool optical thing going on, and it colors really pretty. So when you put the color on, it just looks even nicer. Alright, so I'm going to take the fish from this set. I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I'm going to be coloring with Copics, and I'm going to stamp that twice. And then I'm going to grab my colors. I've got V01, V12, and V15. I'm going to start by applying the darkest color, and then I'll blend it in with some medium. And I'm not doing a whole lot of saturating here because my area is pretty small. But I did go back in and add a little bit of darker V15. And then I'm going to do the lightest, which is V01, all the way on the right. And then I'm going to meet it up there with my medium color and blend it all together. And then I went back and added a little bit of that medium to blend the medium to the dark. Now for the fins in the back, I'm going to, where they overlap, I'm going to make that the darkest color, the V15, and then I'll blend up a little bit with the medium, and then I'll finish it off with the light, V01. And then I just add a little bit more of that dark to make it a little bit more, more dimension. Now for these little ones, I'm just going to add the darkest and the lightest and blend those two together since it's such a small space. Now what I did here, you can't see it's YG03, but what's cool is you can take a Copic marker and color on top of another color, and it'll push the color out. So my green is actually pushing the purple out of the way so that the green can get to the cardstock and get absorbed. So I'm just adding these dots kind of randomly here, and they look a little bit kind of like fish scales, I guess. And I'm going to repeat the same exact process with my yellows. These are my three favorite yellows that I always use together. Y17, Y15, and Y11. And again, I'm doing the darkest all the way on the left, and I'm moving to the lighter color as I go toward the right. And then the same thing on the back fins. And then the top and the bottom, I'm just going to use the Y17 and the Y11. Now for this guy, I decided to use blue, so I've got B000, and I'm just randomly putting my dots. I really like the way this turned out. Alright, now I'm going to die cut these out with the matching dies, and I'm going to start on my fishbowl. So I like to be perfect about these things, so I always measure everything out. So I just created kind of a center point line so I can figure out where my water is. And then I put my stamp around it, so I made sure I had it kind of stretched in the right way, since it is a kind of a big stamp and there's no center to it, which I actually like. I went ahead and made a few more pencil marks to make sure that I stamped it in the right spot. So you don't have to worry about that ink getting in the middle of the stamp because there is no middle of the stamp. So I'm using some Simon Says Stamp black ink. This ink is great ink. It's really juicy, and I knew I'd get a good image. And now I'm going to draw some lines on the side using my Copic multiliner. This is 0.3. I like to add the lines, just it gives a nice little frame. So I'm also using this Avery L. Brights collection, and I hardly ever use pattern paper, but I just loved the patterns and I love the colors. They match the Avery L inks, which I know I didn't use any Avery L inks on this card, but another good positive thing to this pattern paper is that you have inks that match. Anyway, so I chose the yellow, And I cut a couple of strips that are a little bit longer, so I'm just going to trim them down. These are a 1/2 inch wide. And then I'll go ahead and draw the lines now that I have my yellow strips there. I'll draw the lines under those. Alright, my next step is my sentiment. So again, I'm making kind of some centering lines here with a pencil so that I can get my whole thing in the middle. I'm going to do this in multiple parts. So the black I'm using is, again, Simon Says Stamp. And then I'm going to do the fishes in the Stays On Blue Hawaii so that it matches my water. And it's going to dye your stamps, and you can use the Stays On cleaner. I didn't. I just used a regular cleaner, and I just left it blue because I really don't care that much. Okay, so to put these fish on, I'm just using some Tombow Mono Multi Glue. I'm just lightly pressing them down, and I found that this really does a good job of sticking to this Vertigo. And now I'm going to put my glue on the fish behind, and that's all you need is just that little bit of glue, and it stays in place really well because I didn't want it to see through the Vertigo. And I'm just taking a C1 marker, and I'm just adding a little bit of shadow at the bottom so it kind of looks like the fishbowl is sitting on something rather than floating. I went back and added a little bit more. And that's pretty much it. So it's a pretty simple card today. I really love the look of this paper. You can see, I'm going to show you, see it's just completely flat. So there's no bulk to it, yet you get a really good look there with the water. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.